So we recently obtained this from a staff member at my school. This is an old reading device intended for the blind. It's this nice metal box with a camera up there, and it's able to read documents aloud. But there's a little more to this device than meets the eye. But first I'll show you what you're supposed to know. So I've got it plugged in here, and there's a little cable that comes from the camera and plugs into the back of the device. Now, I do not have the optional keypad for this, but I can turn it on by pressing this button. And it serenades you as it boots up. Takes a second, or two, or 17. And I apologize for the bad camera work here, but I am myself blind. I did not touch that, it just does that.
Please place your document.
And you'll notice that it's actually turned on a light. And I've actually got a document here that it can read. If I just... No, I do not want you to scan the phone. And these sounds this thing makes are your first clue to its actual... to what's
Double tap to activate. Double tap to press.
Text not found. Please place your document.
It's loading the document.
WBSTP Family Engagement. School News. How can involved? Upcoming events. Don't forget to log on. December 12th, 6 p.m.
So this can be a little bit glitchy, especially with documents with odd formatting.
F1, you are invited to join other parents and camp guardians of current WBSTP students virtually on the second Monday each month at 6 p.m. It will be an informal gathering led by another parent guide.
You can use these buttons to do things like scroll to the beginning or end of the document.
0 p.m. F1, you are invited to join other parents and camp
Yeah, your
guardians
volume
of current
adjustment.
WBSTP students virtually on the second Monday each month at 6 p.m. It will be an informal gathering led by another parent guide to discuss what's happening at the school and CAP, how we as families can be involved. So grab a cup of coffee or an iced tea and log on, and join the conversation. Join Zoom meeting https://us02web.zoom.usj820,336,506,852.
So it's just a whole flyer for a thing my school's doing.
So grab a cup of coffee. It will
You can scroll through the text.
0 December 12th. Don't forget to log on. December 12th, 6 p.m. F1, you are invited to join other parents and camp guardians of current WB.
Not quite sure what these two buttons would do, but it's able to read documents, and there are some settings you can change, although I'm not sure how. And you can check some things about the device, for example.
iPal Solo software version 1.2. Serial number 000000000001493.
So this is the iPal Solo, and it gave you the serial number there. You're able to reboot the device.
0 p.m.
By holding the left button down.
Restarting.
It says restarting.
Please place your document.
So it can tell where the document is, and the alignment can be a little bit tricky, and this document's been folded up. It'll try another scan. And this unit's text-to-speech is provided by Scansoft, in particular the Scansoft Tom voice, which is actually one of my favorite text-to-speech voices. For some reason, it's not reading right now. But that's most of what
Please
there
place
is
your document.
to note about this device. From a functionality standpoint, I'll switch
Please
it off
place your
now.
document.
Oh, yeah, we held the button down, switch it off. At which point it sounds like a bomb. So let's do a little tour on the device. I'll unplug the power supply. So if you look at the front here, you've got 4 buttons, a volume knob. Actually, no, 5 buttons and a volume knob. On the right side of this device, you have a headphone jack for private listening and a USB port, along with some screws which hold in a fan. The left side of the unit houses the speaker in this grill here. And many of your ports are on the back, which I will go ahead and move the camera. You unplug the cable and you lift it up. And I will set the camera on the ground as I turn the device around. And you can look at the selection of ports, which is where this unit's secret starts to unfold. So over here you've got a power supply connector, that's pretty standard. You've got some audio connectors, a little odd, but okay. An S-video port, I mean, maybe you can explain that. Maybe you can hook this thing up to a TV to see what you're doing. Got a couple of USB ports. Okay, there was already one on the side. You've got parallel, serial, and VGA. Yeah. And you got 2 PS2 ports. Okay, that's looking a little suspicious. The camera actually does connect through USB. It's probably just an off-the-shelf webcam, but we'll get back to off-the-shelf things. Now, I've already taken the 3 screws out of the front of this unit. There's some hex head screws, and you lift this panel up. It's a little tricky, but you get it, and then you pull towards you, which reveals this unit's secret. Does that look like a desktop motherboard to you? It's a rather low profile one, but let's see here. You've got a little baby heatsink there, which I'm not sure that conceals. You've got a PCI slot in the back left corner. Well, sort of the back left corner. This is your power supply board, which takes the power supply is external on this unit, but this does, I guess, some filtering. You've got a stick. It's a 1 GB stick of Crucial memory. You've got an IDE cable, which comes to something in the front, which we'll return to in a second. This one's folded, very neatly packed in here. Except for a little bitty 4-pin power connector. That's cute. See if I can expose the CPU, which I have not tried to do yet. I'm not sure if this is oh, but I started there. I'm not sure if this is a laptop or desktop CPU. Okay, based off of what I'm seeing underneath this heatsink here, this appears to be a laptop CPU. I'll show it to you. I'm not very sure. But that appears to be a laptop chip based off of the feel, or possibly a desktop chip soldered in. But and I will say, this heatsink is of the style you would commonly associate with like chipset heatsinks. I.e. where it's the 2 clips you have to use to release it. Okay. And I will be repasting this unit before I give this to my grandmother. Which she will, I'll tell you right now, she'll be able to find this useful. She'll be able to read recipes, letters she receives in the mail, bills, stuff like that. And massive thank you to the staff member that sold us this. And I just find this thing's concealed nature to be funny. But you've got some capacitors. You've got a CMOS battery there right next to the single RAM slot. You've got these 2 wires here, which I'm presuming go to something. You get your speaker over there on the left side. You've got this. Is that electrical tape? Is that electrical tape? That feels like electrical tape. I can't tell because I can't see it. But that feels like fucking electrical tape. You've got some board. Like I said, you've got you got a PCI slot there. Over there's your little bitty fan for cooling. blows over a heatsink there. I'm guessing that's the chipset. Should probably plug the little 4-pin power connector back in. And in the back, of course, is your thing. I'm guessing this is either a mini ITX or a custom form factor board, probably with a laptop CPU. I'm wondering, what does that suspiciously IDE cable looking thing go to? Well, this is the most, well, it's another obvious hint at this thing's past. If you look at the bottom here, you've got something there, which, I wonder what that could be. If you grab it with your fingers, or a set of tweezers, but I'm just going to use my thumbnail, you pull out a 2GB Transcend compact flash card that I just dropped on the floor. Because I'm a dingus. Now, the reason they would have picked compact flash was when this unit was made, which I'm not sure when this unit was made. SSDs would have been prohibitively expensive, but they didn't want a spinning disk in this thing to potentially cause failure. Compact flash is a rather logical choice because it actually uses a miniaturized version of the IDE interface. That's why you see a lot of people with old MS-DOS machines nowadays, or early Windows machines, using compact flash, because you can just get a little passive adapter, which can mount in anywhere, basically, and use that. Something like SD cards or anything else, you would actually need to get a parallel to serial bridge, because the modern drives, like SATA and SD cards, are based on serial data transfer, whereas IDE, otherwise known as PATA, was parallel AT attachment. But I just find this unit to be rather funny, and you can tell that the sounds this thing uses are actually from Windows XP. I don't think this is actually running a full copy of XP. I cannot be sure right now, but I do not believe it would. Number one, that would be pretty expensive, and number two, I just don't think full XP could fit on a 2GB compact flash card. This is most likely a version of Windows Embedded. Although, funnily enough, this is not the only device like this I've seen which runs an embedded version of Windows. A newer device, which my school purchased two of, they're known as Easy Readers, or Read Easies. They actually run Windows 8 embedded, Windows Embedded 8, excuse me, which is very, very locked down. But those actually use socketed Intel Celeron processors, DDR3 RAM, and SATA SSDs. And those at least trying to conceal some of like the extra audio ports, but they leave things like VGA, DVI, Ethernet, a bunch of USBs and stuff exposed on the back. And those actually had some issues. Number one, the audio was crapping out, and we actually had to break a couple of aux cords and jam them into a couple of the board ports. And also they had dead CMOS batteries, which caused them to not boot for some stupid reason. So anyways, I shall button this unit back up. Again, I'm not sure what standard of memory this unit uses. Whenever I can, I'll try and take an image of the compact flash card, and once that's available, there will be a link in the description for that. In the event you have one of these units with a dead or missing compact flash card, you can just image it and presumably shove it in the bottom, giggity. Now, like I said, at this time, I cannot tell what version of Windows this is using, but I'm guessing, like I said, I'm guessing an embedded version based off of XP. Based off of the sounds alone and some of the behaviors. And the long boot up time could be explained by the fact you're running Windows XP, or just an embedded version of Windows, because no matter what, it's still Windows. And compact flash, as an SSD alternative for older computers, is more suited to things with, let's say, like a limited swap file. So we're talking systems from MS-DOS through to, I would say, early NT systems or 9X at the latest. The newest I would run on that would be Millennium or NT4. I would not run 2000, XP, or anything like that on those, because the swap file is what tends to kill compact flash cards the most. And that's why I'd be a little nervous about this. And if this does happen to break, I'll see if I can somehow jerry-rig in an adapter to like an mSATA drive or an SD card or something. Or who knows, maybe I'll just get another compact flash card. Maybe I would just do that to keep it original. But I put the third screw back in, and again, these are, the rest of the screws in this unit are Phillips head screws, but the 3 that lead into the case, which are on the front here, rather small hex head screws. And again, you can just grab the webcam, you put the rod into this hole, which helps give it a mount. Shove that down, plug the USB in, plug in the external power supply. I just grabbed a little utility speaker instead of the external power supply because I'm a dingus. And I almost flipped my chair too. But you plug it in, turn it on, and get serenaded. Which literally sounds like a PC beeper to me. It actually makes me wonder, is that embedded into the Windows install, or is that actually part of the BIOS on this? There's only... hang on. Actually, unplug it. Let's see what happens if I remove the compact flash card and plug it in. So this will effectively be this unit booting up without a hard drive. So it would probably just prompt an error or something. Of course, there's not going to be, speech in the BIOS, because a BIOS is just too small to implement speech routines through software or even through hardware. Yep, so that's just embedded into the BIOS. I would love to try and boot this thing into a Linux distro through US. Shit. So I shoved the compact flash card in, but I shoved it in at a slightly bad angle. And as a result, it's in the casing now, and I gotta take those 3 screws back out again to get the card out. This is why, folks, you don't do this. But anyways, I would love to try and boot a Linux distro or something over USB to this unit. And try and figure out some more of the hardware specifics, like the board type, the processor, and some other things as well. Maybe even try and see if I could do that from within the embedded Windows install, but that's potentially an experiment for another day. Although if I was doing that, because I am going to give this to my grandma, I would be running that off of a separate compact flash card. As long as that way it wouldn't screw up this main install. But again, whenever... yeah. Compact flash card. Underneath the IDE cable. But anyways, whenever I can, which hopefully should be within the next few days, I'll try and, like I said, see if I can get an image of the compact flash card, and that will be posted on a Google Drive link in the description. And if it's not there, then there'll be some information as to why it is not. But anyways, that's all for this video on Kanawha County WX. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one.